Right, hello everybody, my name's Jay. I'm one of the expert IELTS teachers here at E2 Language. In this live class, we're going to take a look at IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, and we're going to look at tables. So, on test day, you may see something that looks like this. And what you have to do is you have to describe this in 150 words or more. It's pretty tricky. What are you going to do? Well, I suggest that before test day you practice and you have a structure to practice, because if you go in with a structure and you know how to write this from beginning to end, it's going to help you enormously. There's a little bit more to it though. There's more than that. You also have to understand the table itself, because this is quite complicated, really. Anyway, tonight's mission is to write a high-scoring task 1. So please get out a pen and a piece of paper. We're going to do this together, section by section. Right, first of all, we need to look at the graph description on test day. This is the first thing you should read. And that's this sentence here, the top sentence in that little box here. Because this will describe the table or the pie charts or the bar graph or whatever it is you're looking at to you. It says, the table below compares Canadian government investments in various alternative energies in 3 different years. Let's read it again. Let's break it up because it's a bit complicated. The table below, fine. Here's your verb, compares. That's what it does. Canadian government investments in various alternative energies in 3 different years. They're the 3 chunks that you should be reading. The table below compares. That's what it does. Canadian government investments in various alternative energies in 3 different years. So first of all, the table below, well, that's the table here. That's easy. So Canadian government investments, that's not really listed here. Well, actually it is here, 44.93%, 40.14%, etc. In various alternative energies, well, I guess coal and natural gas aren't really alternative, but anyway, let's just leave that. In 3 different years, we've got 2005, 2010, and 2015. Cool. Now we know what we're looking at. What we have to do is this. We need to summarize the information, select and report the main features, make comparisons where relevant. This is what IELTS asks us to do. So let's make it easy. I'm going to make it easy for you, or easier, I should say. It is still hard. But I'm going to give you a structure that you can follow on test day. The structure will be like this. It will have 3 parts. In the first part, you're going to summarize, because remember here it asked us to, number 1, summarize the information. Second part, we're going to describe, because in the instruction it says select and report the main features. In other words, describe the main features. And the third part is compare, because in the instruction, number 3, it says make comparisons. So we're going to do everything that the IELTS asks us to do, okay? In these 3 functions, or these 3 instructions, this is what we're going to do. So, here we go. This is what mine and yours should look like. Okay, so up the top, I have the summary. It's just a single sentence. And then I have a description. And lastly, I'm going to have a comparison section. This is where it starts to get complex. I'm going to take you through all 3 of these parts. First of all, let's talk about how to summarize. This is actually the easiest part. All you need to do is take that sentence from the box, that description, and you need to rewrite it in your own words to say the exact same thing. So you just rewrite that sentence in your own words to say the exact same thing. Now, you're going to have to use some of those words from that sentence. You can't use synonyms for every word, because either the synonym will be wrong or inaccurate, or there will be no synonym for it. For example, alternative energy. There's no real synonym for that. Or Canadian government. You have to use those words directly from the sentence there, okay? Think about a way that you can take those parts. Remember we looked at those parts, and you can rearrange them, and you can change words here and there to say the exact same thing. So Let me read you mine. Mine says, the given table compares investments made by the Canadian government into 6 alternative energies in 2005, 2010, and 2015. So I've said the exact same thing in different words. I'll give you 3 minutes to write yours. Your time starts now. Right, how did you go? Something going on with my live stream on YouTube, by the way. I apologize. Let's have a look. So Joy L's written, the provided data represents the expenses incurred. Okay, so there's an interesting example of when you have to use a word directly from the box, because expenses and investments mean something different. And so we're talking about investments. And so you have to write investments. Whoops, okay, now the YouTube's working. Good, so let's change that and let's say the provided data represents the investments incurred by the government of Canada in different sources of energy across 3 different years. That's perfect, except for that one word where you needed to actually extract and use that exact word from the text. So well done, cool. I hope everyone wrote a nice summary sentence. Let's move on now to the, well, now it's increasing in difficulty. The first part's relatively easy. Now we need to describe the data. And we describe, well, actually, Key features or trends. What I want to describe actually are, in this one, we're going to describe trends, and I'll talk about the difference between key features and trends. Basically, trends will include years, okay? And key features won't include years. So in fact, because this has years, we're describing trends. So what we want to do is we want to look at this. So we want to take a step back and we want to look at coal. Let's look at coal first, okay? Let's look at coal. Let's just look at the whole table, but let's look at coal. Okay, so what happened to coal? Well, it sort of, it decreased. Okay, it decreased there. And what happened here? Well, it decreased again. Fine. Let's look at natural gas. What happened to natural gas? Well, it decreased, didn't it? And then what happened? Yep, it decreased again. Okay, fine. What happened to nuclear? Well, it decreased and then it increased. Okay. Wind, what happened? Well, it increased and then increased. Solar, increased and increased. And lastly, other, it slightly increased and then slightly increased again. So what are the general trends here? Well, we can say that coal and natural gas both decreased over the 3 years. We can say that nuclear fluctuated. We can say that wind increased, solar increased, and other increased. Now these will be become general sentences or statements about what happened, and we can group them. Let me show you what I wrote. So let's read my description here. I wrote, overall, coal and natural gas showed significant decreases in investment over time. So I've combined both coal and natural gas together because they both decreased. And I've said coal and natural gas decreased or showed decreases in investment over time. In contrast, investments in wind, solar, and other energies increased by varying margins. So I'm not getting into specifics or any details. I just said, while coal and natural gas decreased, wind, solar, and other energies increased. Lastly, there was nuclear, which was the odd one out because it fluctuated. And I just wrote a third sentence that says, nuclear was the only energy investment that fluctuated over the years. Okay? So, what's going on here? Uh-oh, I'm going to collapse my thing. There it goes. Let me bring that back up. Your turn. I want you to describe the key trends, but not in any detail. Okay? What I want you to do, I'm going to help you out. I want you to combine, I want you to write, this is number 1. This will be your first sentence, including natural gas. Second sentence will be these ones here. And I want you to write a third sentence about nuclear fluctuating. So these ones, whoops, sorry. These ones went, what? No, down, sorry. Down and down. This one fluctuated. These ones went up and up. And this one went up. So I want you to write 3 sentences. Sentence 1, about these 2 going down. Sentence 2, about these 3 increasing. And sentence 3, about how nuclear fluctuated. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do that. Whoops. Whoops. Come on, man. What's going on? Let me click on that thing. There we go. Okie dokie. Let's have a look at what you guys have written here. So, overall, coal and natural gas experienced a decline in investment. I love that word. I didn't use that word. I forgot that word, but decline is an excellent way to, instead of saying decrease. Well done. Decline in investment over the 3-year period. While wind, solar, and other sources of energy showed a marginal increase across these periods. Oh, sorry, I see what you're doing. While wind, solar, and other sources of energy showed a marginal increase across these periods, nuclear fluctuated. Beautiful. That's a perfect description. Well done. Really, really good. Fine. I hope you also did that and described the key trends, but I hope you didn't use any detail, no percentages, no numbers, just general trends, general key trends there, and encompass them all. Cool. Now we're going to move on to the most challenging part. Well, actually, this isn't the most challenging part. If you're on YouTube, please click like, leave a comment, subscribe, and feel free to share this with your friends. Spread the good word about E2 language, helping people with their IELTS. Right, now we move on to the hard part, which is to compare. Okay, this is the third section. And now we're going to get deep into that table. So, what we need to do is choose categories, compare them, and we include the numerical information. Okay, so we don't want to compare just random things. So what are we going to compare? Let's just have a think about this, because on test day you need to make quick decisions. Oops, let me get that back up again. Okay, so, all right, now what we can do is compare 2005 and compare coal to natural gas, to nuclear, to wind, to solar, to other. That's going to be impossible. We're not going to go vertically down the columns. No way. That's crazy. What we're going to do instead is we're going to go this way. We're going to compare investments in coal in 2005, 2010, and 2015. Then we're going to compare investments in natural gas in 2005, 2010, and 2015. And we're going to say something like, investments in coal in 2005 were 44.93%. They decreased marginally in 2010 and decreased again by another 6% in 2015. We're basically going to describe this one, then this one, and so on. Okay? That's what we're going to do. Let me just show you a few sentences. So we might use sentences like this. X increased, like investments in gas increased from 1% to 2% to 3% over the period. So we want to combine all of that information into that one sentence. Or look at the second one here. Investments in gas decreased by 1% before increasing by 2% and then 3% in 2005, 2010, 2015. Or the third one, investments in gas fluctuated over the 3 years, moving from 2% to 1% to 3%. So really, we're combining 3 bits of information. We want to include the investment type. We want to say whether it went up or down or fluctuated. We want to include by how much, because we're including the data, and we want to include the years. Again, the investment type, whether it went up, down, or fluctuated, by how much, and we want to include the years. Okay? These are the information you've got to include. So, what are the 4 bits of information? 1, investment or energy type. Investment in gas, investment in coal, investment in nuclear, for example. Then you say, did it increase or decrease? And then you get specific and you say it increased by 2.3%. When? In 2005, 2010, 2020. Let me read you mine sentence by sentence, okay? So, more specifically, coal decreased from 44.93% in 2005 to 40.14% in 2010. I probably should have put the percentage sign, and then again to 34% in 2015. Okay, I've combined those 4 pieces of information into one sentence. Similarly, natural gas also showed decreases, moving from 35% to 28.36% to 25% consecutively. Nuclear energy investments decreased slightly from 2005 to 2010 at 19.59 and 18.41% respectively, before increasing to 23% in 2015. In contrast, investments in wind, solar, and other energies all increased. Wind investments grew from 2.31% to 4.06% and further to 7% in 2005, 2010, and 2015. Solar, which was a meager 0.02% in 2010, spiked by 0.17% in 2015, and then again by another 1.81% to 2% in 2015. That's a mistake. That should have said 2005. That should have said 2010, and that should have said 2015. In addition, investments into other energies increased marginally from 8.16% to 8.84% to 9% across the 15-year period. So let's go back. I just want to really nail this home. These are the 4 bits of information you need to include. The investment, what was it? Nuclear, for example. Did it increase or decrease? By how much and when? So that's what I've done here. Okay, just before we move on, I want to point out the verb tenses here. Have a look closely at these words. What tense are they in? Decreased, showed, decreased, increased, grew, spiked, increased. Or as one of the students in E2 language here said, declined, which was an excellent word, declined. So they're the verb tenses and they're in the past tense. Why? Well, the table is in the past. It's in 2005, 2010, and 2015. So we're using past tense verbs. Now, if you look more closely, you can see the adverbs decreased slightly, increased marginally. These are nice, what can I say here? These words, adding an adverb to the verb, like if it really is a slight increase, you can say it increased slightly. If you just say it increased, well, it's not very accurate. Now, these adverbs help with precision, I guess, or accuracy of how much it increased or decreased. It decreased significantly, for example. Now, if we keep looking at this, I also use some sentence connecting words. More specifically, I use that to start this section because if you look at my first section here, I started with overall because I'm just describing. Overall, I talked about the key trends, right? Now I'm comparing data. So I say more specifically because this is the comparison. And I used similarly because here it decreased and here it decreased, right? So it was similarly. And then I used in contrast because it went from decreasing, it went to increase. So it's a contrast, in contrast. And then finally, at the end, I just said in addition, just to add that final investment type, which was other investment type, right? Cool. So now I want you to compare each energy in detail. I want you to include these 4 bits of information. The investment type, whether it went up or down, by how much, and in what year. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to do this. Your time starts now. All right, I think time has just completed. How did you go? We're currently at 18 minutes, by the way. We wrote the summary, if you recall, in 3 minutes. And then we wrote the description in 5 minutes, so that's 8 minutes. And then this comparison, we actually spent 10 minutes on it. So that's 18 minutes in total. We now have 2 minutes left, and we want to do some editing of our work before we leave it and move on to the essay. So let's just have a look at how we do that. In fact, I want to show you, I saw some mistakes in mine. So I've got 2 minutes left, and what I want to do is fix those mistakes. So I'm going to read you this from beginning to end. So, the given table compares investments made by the Canadian government into 6 alternative energies in 2005, 2010, 2015. All I did there was rewrite the graph description from the box, right? Now I moved on to my general description of the key trends. And I said, overall, coal and natural gas showed significant decreases in investment over time. In contrast, investments in wind, solar, and other energies increased by varying margins. Nuclear was the only energy investment that fluctuated over the years. That's fine, I'm happy with that so far. Let's have a look at this one. More specifically, coal decreased from 44.93% in 2005 to 40.1%. Now I start the editing process because I've forgotten to put a percentage sign here. Just a little thing. And then again, similarly, natural gas also showed decreases moving. Now, where was the other one? I made a mistake in some years. Here. Solar, which was a meager 0.02 in 2010, spiked by 0.17 in 2015. Okay, so I want to fix that because that was 2005. This was 2010, and then that was 2015. Now, I've written 178 words. Now, there's no need to write 178. It's as long as you write more than 150 words, that's fine. As long as you include that summary, that general description, and the comparison of the data. And within the comparison of the data, if you included those 4 key bits of information, which was the investment type, coal, nuclear, gas, for example, what it did, and this is the verb of your sentence, decreased, declined, increased steadily, whatever it is, up or down. Okay, so was that by how much? By from 44% to 36%, okay? And then when, the year level, remember, because we're including all of that information from the category. So each of your sentences includes 4 bits of information. If you did all of that, and it was good, I mean, it was grammatically good, your vocabulary was precise, you've taken care of the structure, and you've taken care of what they call task response, which is your ability to focus in on that table, okay? You should be on your way to a high score. Sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes you may need to get feedback on your writing. For example, one of the things we do at E2 Language is you can submit your writing and we give you expert feedback. Or if you want to go one step further, we actually do one-on-one tutorials as well. So you might be interested in that. If you need some help with your IELTS, you can sign up to one of our packages. Cool, that's all. I'm going to leave it there. Just make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you did click like. Also, check out the website. Sign up for free if you like. I'm going to hang around now and answer some questions for the people in the webinar. Thanks very much for coming along.